Thank you very much. We are here because we are concerned and worried about our community. So, and you can see we are with other communities, but there is a concern on what's happening within the community of Kikuyus. And some of us have stood our ground and we've said that we have to speak out because we can clearly look into the past, we can analyze the recent past, and you can project the planned future. As a community, this is a community which 8 months ago was being celebrated as a central cog for Kenya Kwanza. Our youths were being glorified as the mighty hustlers, and our youth and the wave resorted to the government that is said to be in place. Our worry is how such celebrated youths can within 6 months turn into thugs. How can hustlers transform from being hustlers within a space of about 6 months into being gangsters, into being murderers, into being mungikis, into being drunkards, into being any other objective which can define them in the negative? That is a question which some of us are asking ourselves, and our leaders, our Kikuyu leaders, are just clapping as we are being demonized. If we don't speak for our youth, then we are condemning our future. Our youth are being targeted because of the future of Kikuyus as a community. The question which comes through is, where has this subject of Mungiki come from? Because no incident has been observed, and you media people have been with us in this nation. What has happened in the last 6 months to justify the statement and the proposition that there is the emergence of Mungiki? We want to be told of one singular event in any one small village within central Kenya, the broader Mount Kenya, which has prompted this debate. Because we belong here, you belong here, we have not had anything, but all it has, suddenly the government, specifically through Gachagua, has announced that there is reemergence of Mungiki. Where has that come from? If it's not a plot to blood, to profile our youth. Gachagua need to realize one thing. This nation owes a debt to Kikuyus for the blood which was shed in the Rift Valley. We lost people, human beings, Kikuyus known by name, working people were buried. They also owe us a debt in the name of our youth who are massacred in between 2004 and 2009. They were killed, and we have information they were even being buried by policemen under the name, under the blooding of Mungiki, which made our people be killed. Is it an offense which was supposed to be judged outside the court system? We have a list of people, young men who went missing, and some people seem to be celebrating that today. Between 2004 and 2009, our youth were killed under the guise of Mungiki, and Gachagua said it very clearly that it will happen the way it happened then. That is a threat to our youth. It means that our youth are supposed to be killed. And before they kill, before any drop of blood is spilled in Mount Kenya again, we must be compensated for the blood which we have already lost. It is dear enough, and enough is enough, and no one is going to spill any blood from any of our youngsters whatever their mistakes when we are alive. And I want to repeat once more, we are going to take census of the young men that we have lost. Nearly every family in Mount Kenya has a record of a lost son, of a lost daughter, and some funny blooding. We first of all need to be compensated for that before they kill others. I don't know the cost of a son because there is no cost. Losing a son, a Kikuyu son, is priceless. And someone can stand and tell the nation that our youth need to be warned that they face what they faced. We are telling him, come on. We are now mature enough. Some of us, we are grown-ups. When they did that, some of us were fairly young. We are now the fathers, the mothers of this community. And if we don't speak out, I don't know who else is meant to speak for us. We cannot expose our sons and daughters. Those who are being called, they are being called hawkers. Those who are being called hustlers. Those who are being called vijana and kokoteni. They are now drunkards, and it is going to serve a death sentence under whoever's rule. And we want to tell Gachagua very clearly, Kenny, I have to finish. I'm speaking now from the community. And what I'm saying, I will not say tomorrow. Now, Katisha, the flow. But I want to repeat once more that we are serious. You may think I'm taking time, but I'm talking about our children. If I'm talking about somebody's children, then I am supposed to be stopped. I'm talking about our sons and daughters. And we want to say that whoever is bringing that debate need to kill that debate with immediate effect. That is not a debate which was in this region. Wherever it has come from, Gachagua need to take that debate wherever he took it from, because we don't want to entertain such a debate in this region, and we want to assure our sons and daughters that we have leaders in Mount, we shall ensure their security and safety. If one makes a mistake, it goes through a particular legal process, judicial process. Come on, metukanana, but you cannot condemn our youth, put them in a basket, and you say that our youths are Mungiki. We are giving a warning against profiling Kikuyu as a community and Kikuyu youths in particular.
A compressed statement from Karo Irungu, Deputy Governor Nyeri Wante.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mine will be very brief. I think as leaders of Mount Kenya, we are here to call out this illegitimate government in what we are seeing initially to be dictatorial tendencies. We saw and we are seeing how they are continuing to speak. We want to call out this government on especially the finance bill. If you look at the finance bill, for a government that has been saying they have women at the core of their government, you look at clause 17, what our vice captain has said, as and the story of Mount Kenya, especially those of us who have grown up in Mount Kenya, is that as our fathers were working, our mothers are very involved in chamas and in merry-go-rounds. And they really support the family unit. In fact, if you look at the data in the Ministry of Gender, the Mount Kenya region ranks highest in uptake of the Women Enterprise Fund and the lowest in loan delinquency. And therefore, when you begin to look at these women in the villages as whatever activity they're taking on as business activities, essentially what you're doing is killing that sector. As Mount Kenya leaders, we're also very aware that this regime would like to kill our small businesses. If you go through the finance bill, once again, you have in the village, those are paying to this government about 15,000 shillings a year. So ideally, we see a regime that is out to kill our Mount Kenya businesses, that is going for women, I mean, in very mundane and desperate things like trying to charge wigs and weaves and very small, desperate measures. Most of those businesses that sell those wigs and do those beauty activity are owned and run by women. So as women of Mount Kenya, we are seeing a regime that is out to cut our businesses, that is out to harm activities as women, and therefore we want to call them out at these very early opportunities to tell them we will not stop to say that, and we will not be intimidated to say that for an illegit a lot of guts to do what you're doing. I thank you very much.
Governor Derito.
Thank you very much. Let me say to you a bit in Kikuyu. You know, hiti dereaga mwana, okay? No egeda kuri, okay? So in our region there, the hyena does not eat its own child. But when the hyena is tempted to eat its own child, it begins to say that this child is smelling like a goat. There can be no doubt in your minds the reason our young people are being branded Mungiki, the reason they are being branded as drunkards is because there is some ill intent on them. And that intention, my colleague Karogo has explained to you, including the little that they earn. So a young person who is doing digital creation, that maybe they are making a website for you, or they are making up some promotion on TikTok or Instagram or something like this, will now be paying withholding tax, not at the normal rate of 5%, which others pay as professionals, but these young people will now, if this bill were to be passed, will be paying 15%, 3 times what other professionals do. It must be clear, certainly to all of us, that young people in Mount Kenya are being targeted very, very specifically, both economically and profiled, so that perhaps extrajudicial killings can now resurface. And we want to say to the entire world, and we hope you as communicators help us to tell the whole world, watch out. Honorable Mwangi.
Thank you very much. Let me also join my colleagues and the leaders to also emphasize on the point that I have made about the youth in Mount Kenya. Now, I particularly speak to those youth that yes, you youth, you are very good. Yes, you said you will wake up to go and support a government that you thought was taking you to prosperity. But today, 8 months later, you are now being branded all manner of words. That you are not useful to that government cannot be gainsaid, because it means the government was only using you to get to power. And once they get that power, you then become useless. But I also quickly ask, what is this that they know that they don't need the youth in future? There must be a grand plan. And that grand plan is plan for their basket of votes as they finish our youth. It is time for us, you youth who belong to this community, to stand up to be counted. Say no to this repressive regime. Secondly, let me speak to the members of parliament, because I was there and I'm a former member of parliament for Limuru. And I'm known for having taken a motion in parliament when it was first put under camera talking about how our youth were being killed. And I know I received threats then from some people, I don't know whether they were police, saying that I was the next in line. If talking about the youth now will put me next in line, I'm ready. Our members of parliament, speak up for those youth. Our members of parliament, stand by those who voted for you. I had talked yesterday, that they are waiting to be shown the way to vote about the finance bill. And I hasten to add, you decide who among the ones who are telling you to vote for yes, and those who on the ground are telling you maisha ni ngumu, msipige yes, tunyanyase. Decide who voted for you. Then you can vote the way you'll vote. But Thursday is the defining moment for you, member of parliament, who wants to put a huge baggage on the people who elected you. And all of us who are out here, including those who are electing or who elected the members, should take up upon ourselves to deal with them once they pass that bill. Yes, I thank you.
The party leader, Roots, Professor Gachagua.
Baba, Honorable Martha Karua, and other party leaders, for me, I'm going to look at this issue in a very critical way, because I've been very much involved in the Mungiki issue. I remember in 1997, when I was practicing law in UK, the issue of Mungiki became very apparent, which informed us to find out what we were going to do with that brutal regime of President Moi, when he wanted to castrate all young Kikuyu males of the ages of 13 and 19. When he circled them and killed many of them, and many of them were thrown in Karura Forest, many of them were thrown in Gom Forest. In addition to that, and you'll allow me to speak because I have a very strong history with the Mungiki issue as somebody who led the UN to come into this country. At the same time, most of unified Koigi Wamwere, who is still alive and who can verify this story, I invited him to come to London with the young Kikuyu males that had come in running away for asylum, and at that particular time they had been denied asylum. So we had to lobby Kenneth Baker, who was the Prime Minister at that particular time. We had also to